Eibishter wants from us, and that's the underlying strength that's going to bring the Beis Hamikdash. So, in other words, the Nasa v'Nishma, to summarize, means that we're prepared to do even without understanding, because we know that Hashem said, that's all we want. We just want to do what the Eibishter said. And they symbolize that, and they express that by Kriyas Yamsuf and by Avraham Avinu was expressed. And that tremendous close feeling of closeness and feeling of faithfulness to the Dvar Hashem was that fire that was going to bring the Beis Hamikdash, the Mishkan, to Klal Yisrael. Now, we know that in everyone's lifetime, there's always ups and downs. There are times when a person feels inspired, and he feels uplifted, and he feels like he's flying high. And there are times when a person feels low, and maybe a touch of depression, or in the darkness to a certain extent. Now, when Eden said Nasa v'Nishma, it says in the Medrash that when Eden said Nasa v'Nishma, they got two presents. One present they got was a crown, and one present was that they got a sword. Chazal say they got two crowns, the Gemara. But the Medrash says they got one crown and one sword. And the significance of these two gifts, the crown and the sword, are for these type of times, for these two types of atmospheres that he is going to find himself. When he'll find himself in lightness, when he'll find himself flying high, when he'll find himself inspired, he wears his kesem. He's willing to accept and to grow and to learn and to do and to grow and to uplift and to reach higher plateaus and higher madregas in all aspects. However, there are the times when a person might feel low about himself for whatever reason. And at that point, he needs his sword. And his sword is to guard him. That true, I don't feel so inspired at this point, but I have to control myself to keep in line and not to fall out. And I stand with my sword like a guard, guarding myself from falling where I'm not supposed to fall. And Nasa v'Nishma was a declaration for generations, and it's necessary in all generations, these two presents of Nasa v'Nishma. The present of the Keser and the present of the Kli Zayin. The present of the sword. The sword shows that true it's hard, true it's not tasty, it's not appealing, and it's not tempting, but I have to keep to my guard, I have to keep to my regulations, I have to keep to my dignity, and I'm not going to let myself fall. And in the bright times, when things are light, and things are open, and things are tempting, and to grow, and to climb the ladder, and to find new fields and new vistas in Torah and Yerushalayim, Ad Ein Sof. Now, let's analyze a minute the situation when Avraham Avinu was going to buy the Ma'or Zamachpelah. Avraham Avinu was at that point mourning from Sarah. His wife just was nifter. Vayakam Avraham al Pnei Meisai. He just came home from the Levaya, and he needs a grave. He said a hesped on Sarah. The Medrash says the whole hesped, and now he needs a grave for her. So he comes to the Ephraim with torn clothing, and he tells Ephraim, I need a field. Now, Hashem Yisrael promised Avraham Avinu that the whole Eretz Yisrael is going to belong to him. David said to Avraham Avinu, this whole land, the whole land is going to belong to you. And here he needs a few inches, a few feet of land to bury Sarah, and it's not coming. It's not coming. And like Rashi says in the beginning of Sefer Shemais, that the beginning of Parshas Va'era, that it was a big nisayon for Avraham Avinu. The Eibush told Avraham Avinu, I'm going to give you the Dan Eretz Yisrael. Avraham Avinu didn't ask any questions like, why is this happening? Here you promised me the whole Eretz Yisrael, here I can't get a few feet to bury my wife. He didn't ask questions. The Eibush told him, he believed that it's going to happen. You know, like someone tells you, like the check is in the mail, and like you're waiting, like it's coming, and yeah, the check is in the mail. So yeah, the Eibush tells Avraham Avinu, and he needs the cash. He needs it. His wife is waiting to be buried, and he needs it, and it's not coming. So in a way, he could have lost himself, and especially in such a down time, where his wife was just niffed and he's left mourning. Now, he controlled himself. He didn't ask any questions. And it was an nisayon. And the Eibush tells Moshe Rabbeinu that the Eibush said, I mean, it's hard to say over, but that's what it says in the Rashi, that Moshe Rabbeinu, when things were going hard, when Moshe Rabbeinu was sent to Parai, and Parai said, I'm going to make the work harder. So Moshe Rabbeinu said, well, why are you doing this? And the Eibush said, like Avraham Avinu didn't ask questions when things weren't going right. Like, why are you asking questions? And Moshe Rabbeinu was punished that he won't be able to come into Eretz Yisrael, like Rashi said. However, okay, we can understand. Moshe Rabbeinu had a reasoning for it, and we're not here to, obviously, to judge and to criticize. I just mean to bring out what Chazal say, that Hashem stressed the beauty of Avraham Avinu, that he wasn't Maharachim U'Daisa. The Eibush just said something, it wasn't coming, and he kept quiet. He believed, and he swallowed it, even if it was hard to swallow. When Avraham Avinu said he's buying the field, he expressed himself with the phrase "B'kesef molei itnenu li," with full kesef. I would like to buy this, acquire this field, the Moras HaMachpelah. Now, there's a form of gematria called the Milui. In other words, Aleph has a numerical value of 1. But really, the Aleph is not only an Aleph. Aleph, when we say Aleph, is Aleph Lamed Fei. So, there's a form of gematria called the gematria with the milui of the Oisix. So let's analyze the word kesef, but not kesef itself, kesef mole, the milui of the word kesef. So the chof is chof fei, the samach is samach mem, and the chof and the pei is pei aleph. So the chof is 20, and the fei, which is the milui, is 80, altogether 100. The samach is 60, the mem and the chof, which is the milui, is also 60, altogether 120. The pei is 80, the aleph, which is the milui, is 1, is 81. 100, 120, and 81 is 301. 301 is the gematria Eish. Avraham Avinu said, "Bekesef molei yitnenu." This is not just a purchase that's being purchased with money. This is being purchased with Eish. This is a Eish Kodesh, that I'm buying this field, controlling myself, not asking how come, why do I deserve it, where's the fulfillment of the commandment. I'm igniting a Eish Kodesh within me that says, go along with what Hashem says, and don't ask why. Just swallow it. And say, if Hashem's doing it, there must be a good reason for it, and swallow it. The igniting of this Eish accompanied Avraham Avinu in the acquirement of the Ma'oras HaMachpelah. And this Kesef Molei, this Eish, that accompanied Avraham Avinu in the acquiring of the Ma'oras HaMachpelah, we pray in Shabbos Shkolim, and we daven to Hashem, Zochra li ad l'dor achid. We want to also cling to this Eish of the Shiklei Ephraim that Avraham Avinu inherited to us. Avraham Avinu inherited to us. We could be in a matziv, a person could be in a situation where he's in a low, where he's mourning a death in the family, where his check in the mail doesn't seem to be coming, seems to be lost in the mail for whatever reason. And he still continues to go along and cleave to the Hashgacha of HaKadosh Baruch Hu without asking how come and why do I deserve it, and it's not fair, and he just goes along, and he ignites a fire within him that